Welcome in, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. We're going to be continuing off with where we left off last time at the bowling alley. I completely forgot about this. I completely forgot we were at the bowling alley. And that was how you ended up at the same exact bowling alley Baxter had brought you 2 years before. You followed your friends inside, holding that revelation close to your chest. It was fairly surreal to be there again, and with Baxter too. Everything appeared just as you remembered it, even down to the shiny red seats. The almost otherworldly atmosphere that seemed to encompass every bowling alley remained intact. It was remarkable how the lights and sounds were so different from normal day-to-day life. Before anyone could further question Baxter's planning methods and what they were even doing there, you were at the front of the line. The group secured an alley, changed shoes, and were all set to start. I guess we're here to sort out our fighting issue between the main couple, but I think Baxter really just wanted to reminisce with me. He really wanted to be like, hey, Princeton. Forget I'm Princeton right now. Remember when we went bowling and how you won? Be prepared, because I'm coming for that championship. Hey, how about we play on teams? Mine versus yours, Jude, like always? Sure thing, Scott. The ends of Jude's lips curled slyly, and he pointed at his sister. Randy, you're with me. Miranda bobbed her head, then gave the potential competition a once-over. When her gaze fell on Terry, he shot his hand up. Pippiseppy, welcome in. We're trying to finish up this game. I've been playing this game, it seems like, for 3 years. I feel like it's been 3 years I've been on this game. I want to be on Randy's team. Jude laughed, rubbing the side of his neck. He let Terry sweat by pretending to contemplate his request. 3 years? It has to have been 3 years. Because we started it, and in the summertime, we were supposed to continue it in the summertime. And then I got sick, as I always do in the summertime. I get violently ill in the summer. I need to be on rest, on bed rest. So that's why it's taken us so long, as is tradition. Yes, as is tradition. Hopefully we can finish this before summer actually starts. And I won't have to be. I'm gonna try to push through in the summer, but it has not happened so far. Pretty please. Sorry, I have not been doing the voices either. Not that I'm good at voices, but, I feel like it helps to dissect things. When does summer start exactly? Sometime in June, late June. I don't know. Let me look it up. I'll look it up. I could ask Siri, but she's a bitch. You know how she always be trying to get on my stream. June 21st. The astronomical start of the season. Why am I signed out of my Google anyway? You know what? Leave me alone. I don't care. You guys ready for summer? Because I sure the fuck am not. I'm gold right now. Only about 3 weeks to go. Yeah, so hopefully I can finish this in 3 weeks. 3 weeks? 4 weeks? I guess 3 weeks, yeah. Why are you so good at time math? Not much of an argument, but sure, he makes the team. Yes. Sorry, Scott. Princeton, Baxter, she's my girlfriend. We're kind of the package deal. Girlfriend? I thought you guys were engaged. You're a nerd? Aren't we all nerds? No. I'm not a nerd. I'm not smart enough to be a nerd. I used to be a nerd. But then all the trauma did something to my brain and now I can't remember anything. Ah, you're a couple? Duh, they're a couple. And you placed 3 weeks of your vacation days in August? Why August? August is so hot. What are you gonna be doing in August? Yep, we are. We have been this whole time. Don't tell me you didn't know. Terry gave Baxter a smug jab with his elbow. Well, I don't want to presume anything. Still, hallelujah, I'd hoped it had worked out for you. He pressed his palm against his heart and let out a sincere sigh of relief. Terry wasn't so self-impressed anymore. What does that mean? Was the romantic tension you had towards Miranda meant to be a secret? It felt fairly obvious from the few occasions we interacted. Damn, read 'em. Read 'em. That's preposterous. I'd never said a word back then. Clint and Terry weren't subtle about it. I'm pretty sure everyone knew. Wait, really, even then? How long have you liked her? Give me a break, Baxter. Terry was trying his best. You chuckled over it all. You shook your head at their antics. What should I say? Pretty sure everyone knew. Most people already reserved July. You didn't want a vacation in June. Were you going on vacation, or are you just taking 3 weeks off to relax? Terry's lips parted, but not a single sound came out. Blinking quickly became the extent of his abilities in that shocked state. Why is reading hard? Probably just relax. Fair. I might be working. I might get a job. I say that all the time. I might be getting a job. But I'm gonna be for real this time. I got the renewed energy. Hopefully it lasts. And go out to eat in different places. Which job this time? I'm gonna go for daycare work or a Head Start program. Because I'm getting my degree in early childhood education. So I'm like, might as well start there. I like working with kids. Kids are so funny. I want to work with the babies, though. I love the babies. And the babies love me. No, they don't. The babies are haters. But sometimes they're so cute. At the age where you start a Head Start program, the babies do love you. They do cry a lot, though. Oh, my niece. No one asked, but my niece started crawling, and it's so cute. She's gonna be a little terror, and I'm so happy. I don't have to deal with her because she lives several states away from me. That's why I'm happy, because I'm like, development. Also, haha to my brother. I feel like babies would be such a chore. I mean, it definitely would make the day go by faster. Because I feel like, okay, off topic of what we're doing, but I feel like when I worked at a daycare for like a month, the days went by kind of faster when you're interacting with the kids. I feel like a lot of daycare workers just stand around and are just observing, and I'm like, you need to be interacting with the children. Especially like outside and stuff, they just are like watching, like, play with the kids, see what they're doing. And like babies, they need a lot, but they don't need a lot at the same time. And babies are so cute. They're so cute. Their little chubby faces. Oh my god, there was this one baby. I remember him. He still has my heart. I hope he's grown up well. He should be like 7 now. But when he was a baby, it was so cute. Actually, will he be 7? Hold on. What year is it? He would be 5. He would be 5 now. But he was so cute. He looked like a little pumpkin. I miss him. I hope he's well. Hope he's thriving. Anyway, Terry's lips parted, but not a single sound came out. Blinking quickly became the extent of his abilities in that shocked state. Miranda bumped him with her hip and giggled. We've been each other's favorites for a long time. The sweet moment pulled Terry out of his embarrassment and wiped away the worries from his expression. Baxter cleared his throat. I apologize for the distraction. A distraction from the secondary distraction he had already orchestrated. What a feat. It's cool. Like you said, it all worked out. That's what counts with me. Energized, Terry punched a fist into his opposite palm. He nodded towards the alley. And right now, I'm ready to roll. We've got our teams. Sorry. We've got our teams. We can start. If you don't mind, Princeton. Girl, why would I mind? I'm fine. I'm okay with that. I wanted to be on Scott's team anyway. Our team is perfect. It doesn't matter. You frowned, but kept your complaints to yourself. Girl, I'm fine. I'm Gucci. Miranda set aside a few extra seconds for you to change your mind. But you smiled warmly instead. She cheerily clapped. Great, let's get started. How are we deciding who's going first? Rock, paper, scissors? A classic. One I rarely win, though I only choose rock. What a statement. He was a man with convictions. Rock-based convictions, apparently. That's a great okay, because girl, same. Regardless, since Jude got to pick who's on his team, I believe it would be fair for Scott's team to take their turn first. Jude shrugged smugly at the suggestion. He gestured towards the colorful bowling balls. Go ahead, it's not gonna make a difference. He's right. He is right. We're gonna win. Scott calmly readjusted his glasses and then smirked. He pointed at his husband-to-be. Jude's gonna lose no matter when he steps up to the alley. Jude snorted, his competitive nature burned brightly in his unshakable expression. Bring it on, Grant. You're about to get your government funding revoked. Government funding? He on food stamps? Ain't gonna take his food stamps from him? Jude. Scott's mouth wobbled slightly at the sound of his own nickname, but he was determined to keep his game face on. Squaring his shoulders, he went straight to the rack and selected his ball. Scott went for the medium option. He picked it up and sent it down the alley with a large curve. Unfortunately, the ball barely managed to bring down 2 pins. His confidence hadn't faltered, though you caught him mumbling under his breath. No, just try again. The bowling ball rolled on back, and Scott brought it to the starting line, and on this round he managed to put a special oomph to his swing. The pins scattered in all directions. It would have been an easy strike if it hadn't been for his first throw, but it wasn't. Your team opened with a spare. Your go next, Princeton. Got it. Got it, boss. Springing to your feet, you stopped by the selection of bowling balls. You gave your arms a quick stretch while you weighed your options. I'm gonna go with the medium option. I need some heft, but not too much heft. Good old reliable. The feel was what you were used to. Why mess with that fit? With what fit? Moving with precision, you took position with a single swing, you let go, and your skills were as sharp as ever. That was perfect. I'd be bowling all the time. No, Princeton does, not me. I'm not great at bowling. I bowl with the things up, because it makes me feel better about myself. Are you good at bowling? You must have been getting rusty. This wasn't great. You wonder where your powers disappeared to. That was awful. No, I'm a bowling champion. Why would I be a loser in this universe when I can be a winner? The ball masterfully flew down the alley and swerved into a strike. Scott excitedly threw his arms into the air and cheered. Incredible! Thanks, I'm gonna try my best to keep it up. Win or lose, I'm betting on you for the best individual score. Last up for your crew was the wild card, the person any of you least expected to be here, yet he was the only reason you were here to begin with. Your paths crossed while you were returning to the sitting area, and Baxter was going to select his ball. He briefly tilted his head in your direction. What things? What? You can't just ask what things after I already asked the question. Because now I'm confused, Pippiseppy. You know this. You're below average in bowling, you think? That's okay. We can be below average together. I'm also glad to be on this team. The sound of his voice stopped you dead in your tracks. You looked over your shoulder. He had continued on his path. Shaking your head, you secured your seat and watched what he did next. Baxter brushed his fingers along the rack of shiny, weighted spheres. His hand stopped on the white ball, the heaviest size. Why do you keep doing this? Why? Sir. Sir. Didn't you do this last time too, just because it was like black or something? Be for real. He selected it, not without a subtle smirk. He showed up to the alley just fine with it. Rolling your eyes, you didn't know who Baxter was trying to impress. It sure the hell isn't me. You don't know anymore? We can't both be like this, Pipisepi. Am I rubbing off on you? A lot of people use the heaviest ball. It was nothing special. Baxter didn't waste time messing around. He hefted the ball in an arc, and sent it right off. He managed to topple 7 pins with the first throw and scored a spare on his second round. I'll accept that. He pivoted to the group and dipped his head good-naturedly after his performance. Jude stood up and clapped politely. Alright, it's our turn now. The opposing team started off with their leader, Jude, who matched his fiancée and got a spare. In his case, he managed almost every pin on the first try and sealed the deal on the second. Terry bounced over and scored a spectacular strike like it was nothing. He met your eye and grinned. In terms of one-on-one, he showed himself as your real competition. Okay. Get it. My God, Terry over here. Finally, it was Randy's round. She grabbed one of the heavier balls and boldly skipped to the alley and... Why are you grabbing a heavy ball? What she did couldn't be classified as a throw, but a gentle nudge. The ball scooted right into the gutter. There wasn't enough momentum to even reach the pins. Everyone in your group gawked at her in disbelief. Jude's jaw in particular hit the floor. Randy, what was that? Whoops, I don't know. She spun on her heel and twirled a curl with faux innocence. Jude ran a hand down his tense face. He knew what kind of mischief his sister was cooking. You're throwing the game for me? My own sister? No, that was an accident. Miranda couldn't stop a single giggle and fluttered to her seat. She sweetly folded her hands in her lap. Damn. Jude sighed and bared down on her with all his big brotherly disappointment. His demeanor was sour enough to spoil Miranda's sugar-coated smile. Like a traitor's reveal, her true twisted intentions were revealed. I'm with Grant on this one. Well, this is in the bag. I love you, Randy. That's not fair. Guess I might have an accident. Guess I also might have an accident. Who cares about fair? No way. I'll even the scales for you, Jude. I don't care about Jude like that. Too bad for you guys. Sorry, Scott. You can't have 4 members on your team. I'll lose for Jude's win. No. My competition? My competition is Terry. Miranda and Baxter are in competition right now, and it's not much of a competition. Too bad for you guys. Leaning back comfortably in your seat, you snickered at the situation. Jude's chances of winning just dropped to nothing. There were a few things more powerful than a sibling's sense of justice. Don't be cocky. I'm not out yet, and neither is Jude. Go ahead and try. I will carry this team if I have to. But if it's 3 against 1, you're not gonna win. Not in bowling, anyway. Chuckling, Scott got to his feet and pushed his sleeves up to his elbows. It was his turn. Good luck, you're gonna need it. So am I. Round after round, Miranda found even worse ways to send her bowling ball across the aisle. It was impressive, and your whole team reaped the benefits. Jude gave it his all, and Terry did what he could to buoy up the points with strikes, but their efforts weren't enough. And at the end of the game, you, Scott, Baxter, and Miranda were the winners. Why and Miranda? Even though it was a biased 4 versus 2, Scott was more than thrilled to claim his win. Victory was a victory, and he didn't care to lose. You offered Scott a high five, you offered Scott a fist bump, you held both of your hands up high for Scott for a high five, you held both of your hands up to Scott for a fist bump, you threw your arms around Scott in a hug, you hooked your arms around Scott and Baxter, you threw your arms around Baxter in a hug, you folded his arms. You know what, I'm gonna leave Baxter alone because he seems a bit nippy. But we'll give the high five. Scott beamed, matching your enthusiasm for his success. He left your skin stinking with the double slap, but you didn't mind. I told you you were gonna lose. Scott punctuated his teasing with a breathy laugh. Bending over, he planted his palms against his knees and rocked on his feet. Jude attempted a frown, but the redder his fiancé's face became, the more his own smile grew affectionately. Yeah, tough guy, you win. Don't pass out. Chuckling, Scott stood straight and moved his glasses. He wiped an eye with the side of his wrist and began cleaning the lenses with the bottom of his shirt. Despite the totally stacked odds, it was fun. Wouldn't have wanted it any other way. From the previous way Jude watched his husband-to-be, you got the impression that Jude probably agreed Scott deserved to win today. You glanced away suddenly, deciding not to intrude any further on the couple's private moment. It was a comfort to see the couple in better spirits. Even with all the disagreement over the wedding details, you knew at the end of the day, Jude and Scott truly loved each other. Peeking at Baxter, you caught him genuinely pleased, a genuinely pleased smile softening his expression. Watching the couple reconnect was his win. Since we're already here and it's nearly lunch, how about we grab something to eat? Here? You want to get food at a bowling alley? That went against Scott's whole view of classy planner. To be fair, it surprised you too and you knew him better. At least you used to. Yes, I don't see why not. That's cool with me.
How bad could it be? Let's do it.
Scott's focus flickered between the siblings, his brows raised in contrast to their easygoing remarks. Sure, we'll eat here. Terry snorted and folded his arms across his chest. He didn't share Scott's qualms at the moment. I'll bite. So, Baxter, I gotta know why you want to eat at a run-of-the-mill place like this. Immediately, the corners of Scott's mouth curled triumphantly. He soaked in the validation that he wasn't the only one thinking things felt off. Do they secretly have an unquestionably good cook back there? You can tell me. Baxter's nose wrinkled at Terry's interrogation. He combed the tips of his fingers through his soup of bangs. I'm not a nobleman. If you weren't aware, I eat food the same as everyone else, and I'm perfectly happy to explore the convenient meal option directly in front of us. Terry nudged his head in Miranda's direction. He didn't take his eyes off Baxter, though. He's evading the final question. Maybe the food is really something here. I recall when we were bowling all together, you had us get food somewhere more upscale. Don't be so shocked. Baxter's flexible. But, you didn't want to eat here last time. Let's not. I feel like this is the option we're gonna pick. Sure, Baxter, you're a typical ordinary guy, you teased. Amused, you merely shook your head. You scoffed at the concept of Baxter being unfussy. Don't be shocked. Baxter is very flexible. Is he now? Terry's smile morphed into a shared chuckle with Miranda. You didn't give them the satisfaction of reacting. You continued your original thought. You can't enjoy the finer classics without also appreciating simpler comforts. Exactly, Princeton. You understand. Despite Baxter's continued insistence that he was the type of person who would definitely eat at a bowling alley, the group remained unconvinced. They squished together and watched with intrigue as he approached the counter and actually put in an order. Baxter selected a veggie burger, which evoked several murmurs of approval from your friends. Out of all the options, that appeared to be the most fitting for a fancy wedding planner. He stepped away from the counter and your friends quickly fell into line, picking out their own lunches. Jude ordered a chili dog, Scott got a hamburger, Terry picked a slice of cheese pizza, Miranda asked for the same. Plus, a big plate of nachos were ordered for anyone who wanted to split. Before you knew it was your turn at the counter, you decided to go with more nachos, chicken strips. I love chicken strips. I love me a good chicken strip. French fries, a slice of pizza, hamburger, veggie burger, grilled cheese, tater tots, onion rings, chili cheese fries. You know what? I don't like chili on its own, but chili cheese fries, something about it just hits. Hot dog, chili dog, veggies and dip, a salad, nothing. Google's chicken strips. You don't have chicken strips in Finland? That's crazy. You just had to Google what it was? Why would you have to Google that? Do you have chicken strips there? I need to know. English. Okay. Okay, I guess that makes sense. But it's a yes or no question. Do you have chicken strips in Finland? Yes or no? Okay, good. Good. Maybe I'll visit then. No, I'm joking. I don't have the money to visit. I'm gonna get some chicken strips. Oh, I can get more? And some tater tots. Can I get something to drink? That's it. I'm thirsty. I worked up a sweat with that game. After all the excitement from the game, you were quite looking forward to lunch. The only thing left to do was to wait. Like, what kind of nachos did they have? Do they just have plain, like, chip and cheese? Or is it, like, loaded? Is it good? You found a free spot near the alley to sit down. Terry idly drummed his fingers on the table, but you couldn't hear the sound. I should ask Gil if he wants to go to bowling for his birthday. He'll probably say no. I'm gonna ask him right now. He's on lunch. I should be like, no. Why are you asking me these questions? I'm working. It was drowned out by the surrounding clamor. Balls crashing into pins and the shouts of victory and defeat made for an interesting ambiance. We've got a good set here. Jude and Grant are engaged. Me and Randy are dating. Princeton and Baxter are, Terry halted there. We're exes? Yeah. His mouth had been moving faster than his mind. It had not reached its logical conclusion before he began to ramble. Apparently, he'd momentarily forgotten that things were strained between you and Baxter. Awkward exes? Oh, you've heard about that. Why does he look like a little kitty cat? He looks so cute. Yep. Baxter began filling with a paper napkin in front of him. His eyes narrowed and he tried to graciously move past a touch of embarrassment. I can't blame anyone for talking about it. That's fair. However, since everyone is aware of the story, I believe I'll go hide in shame for the next several days. He gestured flippantly at a pair of couples, dropping the napkin. Scott's brows lifted. Are you serious right now? No, Scott, I'm not. It's only wishful thinking. Oh, Conversation grew quiet after that. Cherry had managed to score some unintentional retribution after Baxter put his dancing foot in his mouth about Terry's longtime crush on Randy. But the awkwardness was overcome once the food came out. Everyone dug in right away except for Baxter. He took his time to meticulously cut his veggie burger with a plastic knife and ate the bite-sized pieces with a fork. You freak! You freak! Eat it regular! That action garnered a number of laughs. Baxter paid it no mind and enjoyed his meal. I mean, if he wants to eat it that way, I'm not going to judge him. I mean, you know what? That's a lie. I am going to judge him, but only a little bit. Partway through lunch, Mr. Ward ever so casually took the lead in conversation. Nothing more than table chatter, of course. So, what are we intending on doing after we finish eating? Going to the craft store? Jude grabbed a few tortilla chips and bit into them with a loud crunch. Humming, Baxter rested his chin on the palm of his hand. I've been giving it some thought, and I believe I may not have to. If you know what you want for the centerpieces, I could pick up the supplies and drop them off at your house later today. You could? That's not a problem.
Right. I'll go with him to help.
Yeah, me three. I can see where this is going. The two of you can go home and relax, and we can do the pesky shopping. The two of you are likely more worn down than you've registered. My suggestion is that you should take as many breaks as you can, sneak in before the wedding. As slick as ever. You didn't want to crowd their house while they were resting. You'd have a go-to. Crowd shopping with Terry and Randy would be fun even if Baxter was there. You could put in the extra effort as well. Yeah. Exactly. Take it easy and we'll get this done. Oh, well, there you have it. That would be great, actually. Don't you think? Jude folded his arms and surveyed the sight in front of him. His friends, family, and the wedding planner were all watching him optimistically. Finally, he cracked a smile. Yeah, thanks. Fantastic. Then there's little else to worry about until we return with your centerpiece material. Hold on, anything else, Scott? Oh, I'm not sure. What kind of wiggle room do we have left on the schedule? There's certainly space for a few things. Plenty of elements that can be added with the millennial. With a minimal effort, and you will have a big impact on your experience. For example, you could plan to have a first dance, or have multiple with a parent, guardian, or another important figure in your life. Rather conveniently, your line of work I'm in, I used to ballroom dance competitively. So if either of you need lessons or wish to practice, I can provide that. It wouldn't be an additional charge, of course. My services are all inclusive. Charge them $1 billion. The way they are running you ragged right now. Their wedding is in 3 days. Your attention snapped in his direction. Why did he word it like he was retired? You can imagine a world where Baxter didn't dance anymore. Competitive ballroom dancing? You sure you're a regular dude? Positive. Does that sound like something either of you would be interested in? The couple shared a long, silent stare. Scott bashfully rubbed the back of his neck and returned his attention to the conversation. Hey. Sorry, I just got a text from my brother. He just got promoted. I have to text him back right now. I can't just text him later. Scott bashfully rubbed the back of his neck and returned his attention to the conversation. Ooh, big money job? What did he say he got promoted to? See, he got promoted to senior tech at his job. So I don't know if it's big money job, but it'll definitely, I think it'll come with more money, and it should help him with the baby and his soon-to-be wedding. I don't know when he's getting married. Brother's getting married. I found that out. He didn't tell me. I had to find out through my dad. Just like I had to find out through my dad that my little cousin's getting married. She's not little. She's in her 20s. But she's little to me because she's younger than me. Everybody's getting married but me. What did he say? He didn't say anything important. But yeah, I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. Good for him. Maybe he'll save up money and come visit me. I don't have to come visit him. You hear it's not anything fancy, really? I mean, listen. If he can get more money, that'll be great. Because that means that he'll come visit me. And I don't have to go visit him. You hear it's not anything fancy, really. You mean marriage? I mean, weddings are big in America. And they're gonna have a destination wedding because his fiance is not American. So they're gonna go back to her country and get married. That means I need to save up money too. Everything's big in America though. Not everything is big, but like the average wedding, like my dad got remarried like 2 or 3 years ago, and his wedding was like $20,000. like around that range. And then my friend got married like 2 or 3 years ago, and her wedding was like a lot of money too. I don't know. Yeah, weddings are very expensive here. I thought about it, like, I have a dream wedding in mind, but I doubt I'll ever get it. So I just think I want a wedding dress. That'll be my big expense. A wedding dress and then a honeymoon. And I get, like, married at a courthouse. We need to think about that one some more, I think. Good call. That's fair. Let me know when you come to a decision. Baxter hummed quietly to himself, musing over his next thought. He lifted his head. What are they saying in my messages? Why does this man have debt? What is he in debt for? Because there's a group chat between me, my dad, and my brother. I'm in like several group chats with different family members in it. For whatever reason, they just keep adding me in these group chats. And like him and my dad are talking now, so I'm like, what are they saying? I'm being nosy. Baxter hummed quietly to himself, musing over his next thought. He lifted his head, and at this point, he wasn't bothering to hide that he had returned to planner mode. Jude, you mentioned you'd thrown parties before, correct? Uh-huh. One for my sisters, parents, cousins sometimes. Scott nodded proudly while Jude only shrugged in response, his lips curled bashfully. I've got a big family. What about for yourself? Who throws parties for themselves? Me? Because no one else will throw a party for me, because I don't trust other people to throw parties for me. No one knows me the way I know me. I don't trust Gil to do it. Like, I would love the thought of, like, a surprise party. But I know Gil would not do it correctly. And I would just be disappointed. But he would try his hardest, probably. And I know my mom and my grandma couldn't throw me a party because it would just be family there, and I don't want them there. Like, yeah, it's nice to see them, but, like, not at my party. Who throws parties for themselves? You are, right now, actually. Oh, fine, yeah. Jude scratched behind his ear, reassessing the conversation. Baxter smiled amiably. Perhaps you're viewing this too much as a party for some undefined mass, and the demands of social pressure and such. That's also a thing. Like, with weddings, the guest list is so stressful. But you're, like, in your mind, you're, like, invite who you want to invite. But then there's, like, the social pressure of inviting people. And I would just feel bad if I left someone out and then they were like, yeah, I got invited to this party by Princess. And then they told someone that I knew. And then the other person was like, but I wasn't invited. That would just ruin me. Because, like, yeah, I didn't want you there, but I don't want you to feel excluded. Like, it's just weird. It's weird. I'm just in my head all the time. I've been planning my wedding that I'm not gonna have. And Scott, you're seeing it purely as there for the guests to judge, when in reality the wedding is a day solely for you and your husband. My next recommendation is that you do nothing more for the wedding unless it is truly going to improve your own memories of the event. You're right. I feel like for you, people would understand if you invited nobody, not even family. Well, I love that for you. Like, I talked to my stepmom about it, because I was like, I think it would just be nice for me and Gil if it was just the two of us. But then my stepmom was like, your dad would be so sad if you didn't invite him. He would be so heartbroken. I'm like, oh my god. I can't even do nothing for me. So what I'm thinking is, I have talked to Gil about this, but I'm thinking maybe we get married, like we elope in secret, and then I won't wear my wedding band, and I'll just continue to wear my engagement ring when I get one, of course. If I get one. And that way I can pretend I'm not married still, so then we'll have like a small wedding, and then my dad can feel like he was there for my wedding. Because I know my mom would be sad too if she didn't get to see me get married. But like, I don't want people there. Like, I just want my best friends there. That's who I want. So I might tell them, but like, don't tell my family. You know who I want there? I want my best friends and my niece there. I want my niece there. I want to hold her. I want her to be my little flower girl. She can't even walk yet. You know, by the time I get married, she'll be able to walk. Jude, I'm sorry for making both of us do so much so fast. It sucked. Sounds like a plan. Listen, I gotta get Gil on the plan, because I feel like he'd be fine with it too. But when you get married, I don't know if it's a thing like it is in Finland, but in America you need like witnesses. So I would call my best friend up, because I already asked them, and they said that they would come down. Well, not come down, come up. They would come up and be my witness. I don't know who Gil's witness is. I'm gonna have to tell him it can't be anybody in the family. They can't know. You need witnesses as well? Okay. I didn't know if it was a thing all over the world, or if it was just a thing in America. Hey, it wasn't that bad. Jude took Scott's hand and held it in between his own. You only need two. Yeah, you need two witnesses as well, but I think you need one from each side of the wedding party. So, like, I would need one, and then Gil would need one. He wore an easy smile and lightly brushed his thumb across his fiance's skin. If you still want the centerpieces, we should do it. And, like, I've always had the wedding date October 19th in my head. Why? I don't know. But, like, ever since, like, middle school, that date's just been stuck. But now I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, should we get married in May? Because it'll be right between our birthdays. Because my birthday's in April, his birthday's in June. But then that's a lot. Or if we should keep our actual, like, our anniversary from when we started dating, if we should get married then, but I feel like he would hate it. I feel like he would hate it personally, because it's in the winter time. I do. I kind of have a vision for the event. Jude's head fell back, and he let out an affectionate laugh at that admission. Oh. You do, huh? Who knew you'd get a kick out of designing venue spaces? Next birthday, you're in deck for decorations. Honestly, that'd be really cool. Jude gave his fiancée a light squeeze and then returned to the main conversation. Scott shifted his attention to Baxter in turn. I'll text you the shopping list. And? Scott glanced at Jude and he began chewing on the inside of his cheek. He didn't even have to say it. Clearly, he had one more idea. What? I thought of something else recently. Remember that year you rented a limo for your twin sisters on their 18th birthday? Twin sisters? How many siblings does Miranda have? Sure. There's sort of a thing where people getting married arrive and leave in fancy cars. So I was thinking, what if we do that for our wedding too? Something like a classic Corvette, maybe? Jude's eyes widened in awe. The situation hit the nail on his curly head. That, I want to do that. I'll call around and get it sorted today. Hell yeah. Okay. The couple beamed at each other. Jude gently cupped the side of his fiance's face and Scott leaned into the touch. Thank you for thinking of that. You probably could have You probably could have thought about it. Where am I getting about? That says of. You probably could have thought of it yourself if I hadn't given you 1,000 other things to worry about. I doubt it. I'm a shitty wedding planner. Besides, sounds to me like you're talking about yourself. I am? You've been so busy that you haven't even told Baxter about something important we've still got a schedule for the ceremony. Stunned, Scott searched for a shred of what Jude was talking about. Nothing could be grasped in his panicked state. Jude decided to let him off the hook. We want to have a candle lighting ritual. Well, for what reason? Oh, that's a delightful idea. We already have the candle for it. We've just got to make sure it doesn't get skipped. That was something we wanted for the both of us. Yeah, Jude's right on all accounts. I can't believe I forgot that. Could you make sure the officiator doesn't forget? Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. And so you all finally finished the day's intended discussion in a far livelier atmosphere than how it was at the office. Both Jude and Scott had an easier time with the process and vocalizing their thoughts when they were shooting the breeze than they did under a more professional interview. Baxter's improved party planning skills were impressive. He'd grown leaps and bounds. Even Terry and Miranda were pleased at how this meeting went. Against all odds, Baxter proved within a matter of days that he was someone that they could rely on for this wedding. Once the centerpiece details were exchanged, the group split into teams. Jude and Scott set off for home, and the remaining 4 of you hit the road to the craft store. Although technically you all could have squeezed into Terry's van, Baxter unlocked his car with a beep. After confirming the location you were going to, he followed behind in his own vehicle. Once you'd arrived, you waited near the front of the craft store. Baxter must have gotten stuck at a light since it took another few minutes for him to show up. He gave a jaunty wave and speed walked over. Hello, everyone. I've seen you've got here safely. Pleasantries were had and the gang pressed onward. Miranda broke away from the group with a clear mission in mind. She rode an orange cart enthusiastically. Now you were ready to go. Baxter grinned at her in return, but gave the line of carts a glance. We should take another. 1 cart likely won't be enough. Good call. You shrugged your shoulders and fetched a second cart. Every single candidate was the same sun-faded plastic. You took the nearest option. Excellent. Let's proceed. Miranda led the way into the heart of the store, both carts clattering along in old squeaky wheels. She methodically started at the passing aisles. Oh hey, Randy knows, but I've got to warn the rest of you. There isn't an all hands on deck kind of meeting this evening at work, so I can't make any of this stuff. After the drop-off, I'm gone. Terry faced you with a sheepish expression, not entirely apologetic. You're gonna have to take my place in the crafting circle, Princeton. Okay? Wait, why am I taking your place in the crafting circle? Make Baxter take it. I was already in the circle. You're not along with the explanation. I understand. Thanks for the warning. You're gonna be missing out on a lot, though. I know. Centerpieces? That's the whole center of the event. But I have no choice. That's totally fine. I appreciate both of you being here and helping as much as you have. Don't say this around Jude or Scott, but I've been nervous they're going to be disappointed by their own wedding. She sighed and drooped down against her cart, her head almost sticking to the front basket. I know they would have been if it was only the 2 of them doing it. She straightened herself and offered a smile. first softly at Terry and then at you with a bright gratitude.
I'm lucky I had reinforcements to call.
Though when she turned to Baxter, she demurred.
You've been great to have on our side too, Baxter. Thanks for accepting the job. You didn't have to. Most planners wouldn't.
I do this gladly. Everyone has placed a lot of faith in me, and I want to honor that. Baxter fidgeted with his collar as Miranda kept his eyes soft on him. Terry chuckled. You are so sweet, Randy. Of course we're helping you. And we should get back to doing that. Time's a-wasting.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Browsing resumed, and you began checking off the supply list Scott sent. The collection had you going all through the building, some items needing a real hunt. This color is scent matter more for candles, because I'm only finding white candles and coconut. Ew. I hate coconut so much. The scent, the taste, the look. Ugh. Ugh. Jew likes coconuts at
least, but I don't think they'd fit a formal wedding.
Terry, you're in the beach theme section. Coconut scent is better than plain white candles. No, it is not. No, it is not. Maybe there's another store. You left it up to the others. Terry, you're in the beach theme section. Pointing at the sign plastered on the shelf above him, you tried not to laugh. Terry's eyes widened at the obvious. That explains the sea breeze and pineapple options.
I didn't notice either. Let's move on.
Baxter nodded approvingly. Along the way, you spotted a floral section and a summer section, too. Was summer really that different from beach? Maybe in other places. In Cali, they were one and the same. But since the white candles of the proper variety were secured, the supply team moved on to the next items. Now having a better sense of how the store was laid out, it went quicker. After a decent-sized pile had accumulated in both carts, Baxter spoke up. We found the more unique bits and bobs. If you don't mind, I'd like to leave the last of it in your capable hands. I think it'd be best if I could look into rental cars before it gets too late.
Right, of course.
No worries, we got it. Go ahead. Terry ushered Baxter away from the shooing motions. A car was more important than an extra body to throw fake flowers in a cart. Thanks, I'll be in touch soon. His departure was closely watched by the three of you. Miranda and Terry awkwardly waved him off, neither full of their usual cheer. Silently, the gang pressed on, scooting the carts across the white linoleum tiles, your friends both still quiet. Neither knew how to act with Baxter. On one hand, he was friendly and had been a huge help for Miranda's family. On the other, and more frustrating hand, the last time you had opened up and let yourself care about him, he really hurt you. Baxter tried to erase himself completely, to scrub away the permanent ink he'd left in your memories. If it hadn't worked, it couldn't work. Not for you, and not for anyone else he met that summer. What happened between you continued to linger. It kept mattering, exactly as Baxter never wanted it to.
Princeton, have you been okay working like this with him?
I'm alright, and it's okay if you like him. I'm not sure. I think he's changed. Being near him is hard. I'm scared I'll get sucked in again, only be left behind. It sucks, but not enough to quit. Thanks for being on my side. No words managed to get out. The question had to go unanswered. It sucks, but not enough to quit. Even though he makes things even harder by sometimes being good company. Terry and Miranda shared a look. It was a silent conversation where you could only guess what was being said. I get it. Baxter's not Mr. Ideal, no matter how easy it is to think so. Look at the fancy suit he's got. Look at the poise. Very convincing. I'm already fooled, I think.
No matter what, we're your friends.
Hear, hear. But it was time to refocus on the task ahead. Terry didn't have many minutes to spare, so you had to hurry. What else did you need to find again? You rushed up and down the entire store, the carts rapidly filling. Meanwhile, Baxter hung out on a bench at the front with his phone glued to his ear. He fluttered the fingers of his free hand whenever he noticed your group shooting past. You spied more flowers and booked it. With each decoration on the list was added to the masses, you approached Baxter. His phone was still in his grip, but he was no longer on a call. Hello. Were you able to find everything? He inspected the carts, trying to visually sort through the chaotic lumps of stuff. Everything except a chocolate fountain. What if? He left it to the others to give the report. Miranda took the responsibility. With the last inspection of the carts, she nodded with confidence.
Got every flower on the list and all the other stuff.
That's what I wanted to hear. My task is done too. I found a car that is the couple's taste. I texted it to them and got approval to rent it for the day. Cool. I was even able to do so legally this time. Okay. His tone was amusingly flippant. Oh yeah, during the summer he had pulled some shenanigans to get his car. Miranda and Terry, however, stared at him concerned. Don't worry, it's an inside joke. Why are you making inside jokes with me when you didn't want anything to do with me? Who are you, Baxter? What do you want from me? There he went again, blurring the lines where you stood. You decided not to explain further. Miranda probably wouldn't imagine too extreme of illegal scenarios.
Okay.
Come on, let's play for this haul. It's gonna take a while to ring up. The rest of the gang agreed, and you, Miranda, drove your carts through a blessedly empty checkout line. After several minutes of listening to the beeping of items getting scanned, Miranda swiped her card. It was done. As you headed to the parking lot, Miranda checked her phone and frowned at the time. You yourself did a double take at how long the shopping had taken. Not again. The craft store was dangerous.
And you're sure you have enough time to drop us off before work, Terry?
Uh-huh. No problem.
I don't want to cause any trouble with your boss.
Don't worry. It's not like I can just leave you here with 50 million decorations. Someone would have to be strapped to the roof of Baxter's ride to make everything fit.
Alright, thanks again for this.
Hustling, you stuffed the various bags into Terry's car. It was fortunate his van had so much space, but even then, it was filled up. Maybe you could hold on to some of the bags in your lap? Baxter noticed the conundrum and hummed up the mass of bags remaining. It resembled a tentacle monster when the wind whistled by and waved the transparent plastic handles. I can take the more delicate pieces and store them separately in my trunk. June and Scott's home isn't ridiculously far from the city. I don't mind popping over there first.
Thank you, but are you sure? You don't need to go through all that trouble.
Hey, it sounds good to me. That'd be handy. Of course, let's pack them securely. Soon enough, the van was once again on the road with Baxter's car bringing up the rear. Does anyone remember how to get to Jude's home?
Well...
She quickly pointed her finger to the right, only to earn a laugh for the effort. I'm kidding. Wouldn't it be funny if we got lost? I wonder if Baxter would follow us or keep his GPS directions.
I think he'd follow us first and then call if we got too far off target. You have to work, remember, Terry? Plus, I'd rather not mess with Baxter. That's a bad idea.
You're right. Speaking of right, there's my turn. Okay, red car, could you let me over? Thanks. I need to get the fast way anyways. Oh, come on. Do you know how to drive? Terry drove back the rest of the way to the home base with his occasional commentary of the abilities of other drivers on the road. He's got road rage just like me. I'd be like cursing at these people. Because they're the way they drive, they be swerving in and out, and it's like, at least put your turn signal on. If you're gonna be swerving like that, put your turn signal on at least. Terry drove back the rest of the... Yeah, okay, I read that. He noticed a few vanity license plates that made him wonder about the person behind the wheel. I have a vanity license plate. Says, sorry, love. Sometimes I be messing up, so I need them to know I'm sorry about my mess ups. Miranda chimed in with creative theories, usually that it was a secret code. The conversation flowed enjoyably easy between the two. Then you arrived. My little Hello Kitty car. Baxter parked behind Terry's van. You nodded at him on your way to open the back of the car. Terry grabbed a bag and another. Miranda put a bag on each finger, including her pinky. Not to be outdone, Terry threaded his hands through more plastic handles. Baxter made his own massive effort. He took a breath and gathered as much as you could manage. Everyone loaded up. Miranda led the coordinated shuffle to the door and awkwardly bumped the doorbell with an elbow. There was a muffled melodic ding-dong on their bell and then footsteps. A moment later, Jude answered. Your group, utterly laden with plastic bags, bursting with silky petals, must have been a sight. Come on in. He scooted to the side to let everyone through. You maneuvered your bulky hoard carefully so it didn't bash into anything. Unfortunately, Terry got caught on the door handle. No, not on the door handle. Oops. Jude darted closer and untangled the bag. Terry shrugged with effort and slowly inched forward until he was completely inside. Is that everything? Nope. I'm gonna go get some. He sidestepped you and Terry and dodged Baxter to get outside. That was when you noticed Scott trying to usher everyone into the living room. At this point, your arms were regretting taking quite so many bags. Surreptitiously. Oh my lord. You began eyeing any likely surfaces you could deposit them. The place was neater than before. The table had been completely cleared off, and the floor must have been vacuumed. Jude and Scott had completely committed to taking a break. Scott directed the group to where the supplies should go. Quickly, you shed the weight, and the others were only a breath behind you. Miranda subtly massaged her hands while Terry slumped against a wall. Jude returned with the leftovers, which was still a generous armful of stuff. Now, that's everything. You guys needed a lot of stuff. He wiped his brow dramatically, as if coming from the car had been back-breaking labor. It would have been more of a joke if he wasn't actually breathing hard from carrying so much. Yup. Jude did not humor Terry's act and added his armful of bags to the pile. 2 cartfuls took a lot of space. Terry surveyed the scene, mentally checking things off, and nodded with approval. I leave this in your capable hands. Bye, Terry. Thanks for doing this. Yeah, you're a good dude. Forget it. I never let Randy down. Or you two also. Miranda brightened at her ever chivalrous boyfriend. My mouth, it won't work properly. Good luck, Terry. He saluted the team and bounded outside, the door slamming shut behind him on a chorus of goodbyes. In the wake of Terry's big exit, Miranda flopped onto the couch with a sigh. Jude immediately raised an eyebrow. Something happened, Randy? You can talk to us if something's wrong. Nothing, and you're busy. Scott looked at her, face creased with worry, but her expression didn't change. His gaze drifted over to you. He was sending please help me signals. Girl, I don't know what happened. I'm just here. Despite his silent plea for insight, what is this? Ah. There was something on the ground and it was messing with my foot. Despite his silent plea for insight, there was nothing to give him. He had no idea what was wrong and was perhaps even more confused than he was. Miranda had seemed fine shopping. She was just joking in the car. But suddenly she deflated and dropped what you hadn't noticed to be an exaggerated smile. Scott's hopeful eye contact wasn't ending, and you still didn't have a clue. You shook your head. Miranda was the only one who knew why Miranda was upset. Jude approached his little sister. He tapped her shin with his foot. She pulled up her legs on the couch, curling into a ball. So he sat down heavily beside her and waited for her to be comfortable. Slowly, hesitantly, she began to speak.
I just feel bad that Terry always does so much for me and my family. He's a lot bolder than I am. He's amazing and can jump into anything. Terry's always been the one to take the initiative, ever since we met. What do I ever do? Nothing. It's unfair.
She hugged her knees tightly to her chest. I think Terry understands. He's so outgoing, he can't help but be involved in everything. You're different. Subtle acts can mean equally as much if they take the same effort.
But what if I want to do something bold for a change?
Jude snapped his fingers loudly enough to make you jump. You can propose. That's what Scott did. My big move was asking him to come live with me, but Terry beat you to that one already.
What?
She gaped at him, completely shocked out of her melancholy. Scott, however, was still all in agreement. What if it happened at our wedding? That's so tacky. But, I mean, you guys are approving it, so I guess it's not tacky. That'd be the perfect place for a daring engagement. Yeah, that could work. Oh my god. He scared me. Oh, I forgot he was here. Oh, excuse me. I have a big water bottle with me now. Take a water break. It's cool and refreshing. Wedding proposals are traditionally frowned upon, but you both are quite gracious to suggest it. Baxter's tone was casual, if anticipatory. Miranda, however, gaped at him, and so did Jude. I forgot you were here, dude. We all forgot he was here. Oh, forgive me for the surprise interruption. Randy flushed with embarrassment and straightened her posture until she sat up properly. She hadn't realized she started the heart-to-heart with Baxter in the room either.
Jude, you're 6 years older than me, and you're getting married right now. I'm not proposing to Terry.
If I'm not overstepping, why not plan a trip to go away together? A nice vacation for myself, and a special someone after spending so much time focused on others would be an incredible gift. It doesn't have to be the equivalent of a honeymoon like Jude and Scott are having for it to be worthwhile. Simple does the job just as well. I'm no travel agent, but you could think about a day trip or staying somewhere overnight. There are some perfectly lovely possibilities. Linda tapped the bottom of her lip, considering it.
That's a fantastic idea. I can remember a few places that Terry has wanted to visit for ages, and most of them aren't that far.
Slowly, her lips lifted into a grin. The spark of inspiration had relit her fire.
I'll do it. I really will. I'm gonna take Terry on a mini vacation.
She turned towards you, her voice reassuring.
But I'm not gonna run off while you're here visiting us, obviously. It'll be later.
You smiled, appreciating that she addressed that before you had the chance to worry about it. Her thoughtfulness was sweet. Thanks, Miranda. And I agree that you should go take a trip with Terry. That sounds nice. For as long as you'd known her, she often struggled with confidence. That was a great opportunity for her to try something new. So she should be proud of herself.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to me. I'm sorry for being distracting. We've gotten completely off topic.
Hey, the party is not more important than the people attending it. Jude hooked an arm around his fiancée and lightly squeezed. Scott leaned into the embrace. Baxter watched the scene with an air of distant contentment, like an audience member for a documentary. Then he cleared his throat. Good luck, Miranda. I should be leaving soon. However, before I do, let's take a moment to discuss what we will do tomorrow. And the centerpieces are the final element. We won't need to meet in the morning. We can decide what to spend that time on now, if anything. Scott and Jude exchanged glances and reached a decision. Jude lifted his head back to Baxter first. We could go clothes shopping. Or we could try slow dancing. Both are doable. We can have a day of formality. The couple smiled and leaned into each other. Jude spoke directly to his fiancée. And we can give everybody else a break. I think me, you, and Baxter can handle the rest. Scott agreed with a brief nod. The others have done more than enough. It's settled then. Baxter's voice filled the room with an announcer's flair. We'll have an eventful afternoon before the big event, but it will be the perfect finishing touch. Jubilant, Miranda bounced, and the couch cushion squeaked beneath her enthusiasm.
Thank you, Baxter.
He chuckled, and once again tugged at his collar. Thank me after the wedding is over.
Yeah.
Miranda's attention drifted to the intimidating pile of decoration supplies. Will you be fine finishing the centerpieces? Who are you talking to, me? I think so. There's not much to do to actually put them together. It should go a lot faster than other things. That's good to hear. Well now, if you'll excuse me, I won't hold up your progress. I'll see you tomorrow. Jude and Scott especially, but I do hope the entire committee will be there for the last meeting that night. Wait, is it exactly right? You want me there? Lolo me? Baxter stopped and focused on Scott. For the special last meeting, why don't we have it here instead of in the office? Oh, sorry, that was Scott. That was supposed to be saying that. Yeah, it's not like it'll be your first time coming over. You're already here today, giving advice. Inviting me to your home? You're too kind. He wasn't able to answer right away. His brain was probably weighing the pros and cons, thinking of the potential ways his choice could explode in his face. This matter was far more important than frozen desserts. Well, I would be glad to accept your hospitality. All right. They will be here tomorrow night. Yes. Good evening, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye, Baxter. See you soon. Have a safe trip. I'll see you out. I'll see you out. Girl, it's not your house. You can't just be like, I'll see you out. You waved. You walked to the door with him. I'll see you out. You will, Quite the gentleman. Yes, I am. Like somebody. You reached forward and opened the door for him, exactly like a gentleman. Baxter went through an appreciative nod, but he didn't expect you to follow. Why does he look like that? He looks like a little kitty cat. You led him to the end of the driveway and then to the opposite side of the street where his car was parked. The politeness in his smile began to crack. He kept glancing your way, wondering where in the short trip you were planning on leaving him. You weren't sure yourself, but each time he caught your eye, you felt compelled to continue. You didn't stop until you were standing at the nose of his shiny car. Thank you for escorting me the whole way. No worries. You stood there silently for a few more seconds. His features tensed as he robotically took keys out of his pocket. Baxter unlocked the car and opened the door. He didn't get inside. He kept looking at you, his mouth twisted awkwardly. He's like, okay, you can leave now. Alright, be safe. You hummed in response and remained rooted in place. Baxter's gaze flickered between you and the car. Why are we doing this? I just wanted to know what was gonna happen. Could you please move off the street? I wouldn't want to hit you when I pull out. Girl, yes you would. Sure thing. I'm gonna stop on the sidewalk. Hopping up to the curb, you balanced on the edge so you could watch him leave. Baxter's jaw dropped in disbelief. Are you certain that you don't need to return to your friends? I can wait to pull out until you've gone inside. I don't mind. No, you can go. Baxter's posture straightened under your unyielding gaze. You folded his arms defensively. What's wrong? Everything's fine, Princeton. He'd given up pretending that he was ever going to leave with you watching. Now he was simply at a standstill. Okay, why can't you leave? Finally, he smiled again. Since the jig was up, he wasn't going to feel sorry for it. Honestly, it wasn't my intention to leave in the first place. I wanted to get some ice cream. From an ice cream truck is what I mean. Eye contact flew from his lips the second his initial response hit his own ears. When I dropped you off here yesterday, I remember this was the general area it covered. I checked online and confirmed that that was the case, and it had the same route. The longer he spoke, the more he squared his shoulders. It was as if he needed to reassure himself that he was still a mature adult to counterbalance his desire for ice cream. Since I was already here, I didn't see any reason I couldn't patronize the truck again. So that's why I'm in no rush. Please don't let me hold you up. I'm sure you're eager to rejoin the others. I'm not in any hurry either. Ice cream sounds good. What, you trying to hold out on me? I wouldn't mind some ice cream. Regrettably, you still thought he was cute. You shook your head with zero intention of going anywhere. This is actually so funny. I wouldn't mind some ice cream. This is how I treat Gil. I just stand there sometimes and I just watch him. You sheepishly rubbed the side of your neck and broke eye contact. No truck so far. I see how it is. Yeah, I'll text Miranda and let her know I'll be back soon. Baxter carded his fingers through his hair, the corners of his mouth crooked. At this point, it is out of my hands. You know what I'm up to, and it is a public activity. Who am I to say you're not also welcome to visit the neighborhood ice cream truck? Nodding along, you accepted the situation for what it was, awkward and obstinate. So, unexpectedly, the two of you looped through the nearby streets, keeping yourselves on alert for any sign of the ice cream truck. Luckily, it didn't take long to locate. The melodious sound of the well-known tune drew both you in, and then it came around a curve. Decked out in faded posters rolling along under the setting sun, it looked like it drove straight out of your memory. It was the same truck from 5 years ago. That wouldn't surprise you in the slightest. We found it. You caught a brief sparkle in his eye and a hint of a thrill in his voice that instantly caught you off guard. You pushed ahead to flag down the ice cream truck. After a minute, the side window snapped open. Hello, hello! What kind of sweets do you two want today? Sorry. I blanked after reading that. Baxter stepped even closer, flashing his dazzling grin. Hello, I appreciate you stopping for us. Thank you. Of course, people of all ages love ice cream. It's a little joy that brings us all together. Should I get some ice cream? I have some in the freezer. Not now, of course, but later. Maybe after this? No, I don't need it. I don't need it. Thank you for stopping me from getting ice cream. I appreciate it, guys. Of course, people of all ages love ice cream. It's a little joy that brings us all together. That's very true. Would it be possible to get an ice cream sandwich? Oh, and some napkins, too, if possible. Can do. Observing him, you couldn't help but... Didn't he get one of those little blonde bitches last time? Or is that what I got? Observing him, you couldn't help but wonder if that was a new favorite of his, or if that was what he would have gotten if he didn't go for that ridiculous popsicle. You held your breath. It was odd how lightning fast that thought ricocheted through your brain. He is very nice, because he could have been like, I'm not taking you to get ice cream. But he actually brought us along. That's sweet of him, actually. There was a period when the memory of the popsicle haunted you, and then it was gone. Now you can see it as if it happened weeks ago instead of years. You weren't sure how long that paralyzed you, however. Baxter had moved to the side so you could order next. He stared at you curiously. And you? She leaned slightly out of the truck. You hastily glanced over the menu. It was even more sun-bleached, and the shapes were distinct enough to tell apart even with a wash-out colors. a grape popsicle, strawberry popsicle, a chocolate creamsicle, strawberry ice cream, orange cream popsicle. You know, Arby's has brought back their orange cream shakes, and I want one. I do want one. I don't need it though. I don't need it. An ice cream sandwich, an ice cream cone, chocolate dipped ice cream cone, cartoon face popsicle, an ice cream taco, a snow cone, an ice cream sundae cup, a frozen lemonade cup. That sounds delicious. Oh, is it like or maybe it's not. An ice cream cone. Sounds great. After that, you and Baxter paid for your frozen treats. The lady gave you a toothy smile. Thank you so much. Alright, give me 1 minute. Is what she said before ducking out of sight. In her absence, neither you nor Baxter uttered a word. You can't say thank you? Thank you for bringing me along? The only noise between you was the faint sound of a woman rummaging through her own truck. Just as promised, she returned with about a single minute later. Baxter retrieved his desired ice cream sandwich and a handful of white paper napkins. The woman extended an arm out to you next, passing your ice cream cone. Thanks! What a fantastic evening. I'll be enjoying mine much more than this. More with this. You're welcome. The woman laughed at his niceties and then latched up the window. You waved at the truck as the truck roared to life before puttering along the street. I suppose we should start finding our way back. Yeah. Baxter strolled leisurely along with his free hand in his pocket and the other carefully pinching his treat. You kept up with him, sampling your own frozen dessert. Baxter waited for you to complete your first taste. The corner of his mouth tugged into an all-too-familiar smirk. I see your preferences have remained the same. Are you enjoying it this time? It's really good. It's kind of alright. It's actually pretty terrible. It's better than not having a treat. You shrugged. You nodded, wearing a tiny smile. You know, I'm the nod, wearing my tiny smile. I'm glad. Baxter contentedly took another bite of his ice cream sandwich and returned to his own thoughts. It struck you that as long as Baxter was placated with his dessert, was it placated or placated? I think it's placated. Placated with his dessert, he wasn't running off. For the first time in a long while, the two of you might actually be able to talk. So do you still dance besides helping couples you plan for? Why did you become a wedding planner of all things? Why do you only choose rock? You've changed a lot. You haven't changed much. Why did you stop talking? Why did you stop talking to me? Screaming. But you didn't say anything. Nah, I'm gonna ask the first one. Not competitively. Actually, I haven't even kept up with it as a hobby. These days, it only ever comes up with my clientele. His gaze trailed off in the distance. I love dancing, but unfortunately there isn't room for everything. I imagine you must have dealt with some similar situations in your adult life by now. You stared straight at the empty road and thought about it. He was right. Adulthood brought hard changes, and yet it seemed impossible to separate dancing and Baxter in your mind. Yeah, I get it. Having said that, I can't complain. There was a rather low chance that my love of dance was going to be utilized in an actual profession, and yet here we are. Silver linings and all that. Oh, we get the option to choose more options. Okay, why'd you become a wedding planner? It was difficult to comprehend why. Out of all the possible careers out there and the plans he made for his future, why had he ended up in a relationship-based profession? Baxter held onto your question for several more moments. He closed his eyes consideringly. Let's see. I received a degree in business management after all. I always assumed working with fellow employees within a company would be preferable to dealing with the wider public. However, in practice, I found that event planning best suited my strengths. I'm fortunate that, thanks to my upbringing, I happen to be well acquainted with formality and what it takes to authentically achieve it for an event. It's a unique kind of direct experience to wield. Additionally, I deal well with the high level of control and detail work one must take in a stressful event, and that's most suited and burst with different people rather than a long-term position in a consistent group. You can easily get sick of someone who needs everything to be just so. Baxter finally paused to breathe. You could sense his focus trailing across your furrowed brow, and that only made it worsen. His appraising response was a barrier rather than an answer. My job makes me happy. The ups and downs are worth it. Oh. I enjoy seeing people at their most joyful and knowing that I contributed to making it happen. At least, ideally, they'll be joyful on their wedding day. I've long since realized how straining and unpleasant the whole planning process is. It never seems to matter how much I try to smooth out the process. It all happens in such a frantic flurry. One can scarcely keep up. But when the day comes, and if I've done my job right, then the entire event will be an unforgettable moment, and once it's done, it's done. So, I believe you can see why this position was a fitting match. Yeah. Why do you only choose rock? Oh, that's an unexpected query. Is it? That's not a normal thing to take such a committed stance on. I've been wondering about it this whole time. Truthfully, it's my favorite option out of the bunch. A nice fist, simple, effective. Oh, Lord. This man's a freak! Baxter's free hand tints in the aforementioned representation of rock, just long enough for you to see it, then his fingers loosened. But rather than why I chose rock out of the three, I imagine you're more intrigued on why I only use one in general. Yeah. Well, I've done it about as long as I can remember. It made the game more enjoyable in my youth. The petty types of decisions that were best suited to be decided on with randomness mattered little to me. It was far more amusing to see who would use the advantage they had to win, and who would be willing to take the loss, and why they seemed to do so. Baxter glanced towards the distant sky. At the bare minimum, I'm not that much of a brat any longer. As an adult, I use it mainly to get away with not making decisions of my own. However, whoever is playing with me has a responsibility to win or lose because what they're up against is preordained. I don't even need to choose which symbol my hand makes. It's easier that way. Oh. Not just Sorry. But of course, when it comes to work, I absolutely can make decisions. It's only in my personal life where I lack conviction. Yeah, I know. Why'd you stop talking to me? Even right now, you're keeping yourself at a distance. What's the point of all this? Isn't it harder to intentionally avoid people for no reason? Why can't we stay friends? I can't understand. This is all so sad. You look at him for an answer. Baxter's... I did pick why can't we stay friends. Baxter slowed under the weight of your words, but his expression remained indecipherable. Your voice shook. None of it makes any sense to me. I've asked myself those questions a number of times. Baxter took a deep and steadying breath, then ran his fingers along the edge of his swooped bangs. Princeton, I don't want to be entirely clear. I do want to be entirely clear. You are wonderful. Never doubt that. What happened, I do exactly. That to everyone who unfortunately crosses my path. The acquaintances I made at college, dancing partners, the friends I had since childhood, my parents, though that is an entirely different story. The point of the matter is, excluding those I interact with regularly due to work, I have no relations whatsoever. That's simply the way it goes. He found his words incredibly hard to believe. Nothing was simple about his explanation. Baxter cut things off there. He was not willing to deal with that part of himself, but surprisingly, he also didn't take it out on you. So he had any other time you tried to get personal. Topic just drifted. You let it. It left a truce between you both in that moment, and that evening, you could make peace with it. Should I say he's changed a lot, or he hasn't changed much? You haven't changed. I don't think he's changed much. I have to agree. I don't feel like I've changed in the slightest. I'm an actual resident of California now. Despite living here for nearly a year, I haven't so much as dipped my toes into the ocean. I'm still far too nervous for that. Embarrassingly, I'm not a beach man like Terry, and I'm not the bee man anymore. He calls me Baxter. The former bee man's voice goes quieter. Yeah, 'cause you done wrecked my heart, my guy. You're not the bee man anymore. You're a bee man. The level of transparency didn't last long. Baxter quickly changed topics, but his sadness lingered in his eyes. My taste in ice cream hasn't evolved. Neither has my ideas for outings. I can't say that I've improved some talent over the years and found a less eye-catching sense of style, but for anything meaningful, there's no growth. He was right in some ways. Baxter was a diamond that showed different facets in the light. If the gem spun, you might see parts you hadn't before, but it was never something entirely new. Baxter was still the man you met 5 years ago. His lips twisted bitterly, but he fixed that with a bite of ice cream. He held the sweetness on his tongue before swallowing. Don't mind me and my ramblings. The two of you continued on your path to June Scott's house, surrounded by the day of ambiance of crickets and distant cars. You stole a glance in his direction. Somehow Baxter still hadn't finished his child-sized ice cream sandwich. Why is it child-sized? Is there an adult-sized ice cream sandwich? He couldn't help but wonder what was happening inside his head. Since he'd returned, nothing came with a thick layer of fog to trudge through. Everything came. Where I see nothing. Oh my gosh. It's becoming that time. I'm trying to make it to 2 hours. Everything came with a thick layer of fog to trudge through. It was only yesterday when Baxter was begging to be anywhere else on the planet than by your side for a little while. And now he was trying to stretch this walk for as long as possible. 'Cause he misses me. He likes me. A part of you understood. Despite the intensity of your problems, being near him was beginning to feel more comfortable again. The burning pain had cooled into a distant warmth, like a scorching noon sun easing into sunset. Was it because of him or because of you? Were you both doing something? Would any of this even matter by the day after tomorrow? Did it even matter right now? Time had run out to say anything else. Baxter plopped the last bit of his treat into his mouth and crumpled the wrapper up. He was finished with this. Baxter tidied himself as well as he could with the cheap paper napkins. He didn't use them all and offered the remaining ones to you. You accepted them. Thanks. You stashed the napkins in your pocket. Baxter's amiable smile didn't change. Thank you for accompanying me, Princeton. As we can both see, my car is right over there. I won't keep you any longer. Good luck with the centerpieces. I'm sure they'll turn out wonderfully. I hope so. Bye, Baxter. See you later. Yes, I'll see you tomorrow. He got into his vehicle for real and was gone again. After an extremely long break to see him out, you returned to the house. The door unlocked with a twist of your wrist. The sight earned a grateful sigh. It was a lucky gift of fate that the door was left open. No one had checked since you were gone. You were able to slip inside and rejoin the others without any extra weirdness. You sure about that? Just like, I looked at his face, and I looked at Miranda's face. And Drew's just smiling. Or at least that's what you thought. Miranda, Jude, and Scott stopped what they were doing to stare at your entrance. They must have heard the door close. Awkward. Hey. Jude at least didn't have an interest in asking you probing questions. He punctuated his greeting with an easy smile and resumed the silk flower arrangements. Wow, the missing princess magically reappeared. Were you talking to Baxter? He folded his arms across his chest and watched you with an honest curiosity. Unlike his soon-to-be husband, he couldn't let the delay slide without mention. Yeah, we talked for a little while. We were catching up. Miranda's shoulders relaxed hearing the news. After experiencing the impact of the summer firsthand, she understood the magnitude of that step. You seriously did know him before? I did and do. Sort of. He's still Baxter Ward. Letting that information sink in, Scott removed his glasses and idly cleaned the lenses of the end of his shirt. On the end of his shirt, he slipped them on and then sheepishly scratched the top of his head. I know this Baxter stuff is old news for you, but I'm finding it hard to imagine.
Sorry, that's probably because you're the only one who has never met him before now.
What? Huh? The comment was finally enough to pique Jude's curiosity. Miranda snickered as Jude put the silk flowers down. When did I meet him?
Well, you didn't talk to him, but had to have seen him.
That... I'm more confused.
Remember my 19th birthday party? He was there.
Your 19th birthday?
Yes, he wasn't there as a guest. Baxter was one of the main people who put the whole party together.
Jude's brow pinched and gazed into the distance at nothing in particular, searching the recesses of his mind At last, the spark behind his eyes brought him back to the present. I remember one strange dude, the edgy kid who kept messing with the chocolate fountain. Why was he there? That's the real question. Your grin stretched ear to ear hearing Jude's recollection of Baxter. How typical of him. Somehow seeing a strange monochrome man at his little sister's party didn't prompt him to ask any questions then. It was never too late, though. That was Baxter. What? That was Baxter? With the eyeballs? Jude repeated the word slowly. He needed a moment to process. Yes. Then he dropped, falling like a chair. You never heard him laugh that hard. He was shaking in contrast. Scott kept his composure. The longer Jude continued, the higher Scott's eyebrows raised. What do you mean with the eyeballs? What's wrong with his eyeballs? The Eckert siblings were both peeling with laughter at that point. You could only hope Baxter had driven far away to not be able to hear it himself. Nothing. There's never been anything wrong with Baxter's eyeballs, I think. Poor Scott. He never experienced Baxter's black and white glory in person. It wasn't something any of you could convey with mere words. Phew. Jude pressed his palm to his heart and leaned against the couch cushions until his breath calmed down. Scott, you had to be there. He looked like a fool. Let's not hold it against him. Don't be fucking rude. I'll take your word for it. Jude scooted to the edge of his seat and grinned widely at him. He gave Scott's leg a pat. Time to get to work. Flowers won't arrange themselves. Scott bobbed his head, still in a daze, and the three of them got up to speed with the crafting circle. The rest of the evening went well into the night was spent joking, sharing stories, and creating beautiful masterpieces. At one point, a new message in the group chat caught everyone's attention. Baxter asked for a confirmation that tomorrow would be the big day out with the couple. You weren't sure if it was only in your head, but Baxter's phrasing felt a little more friendly than his prior updates. He even used a thumbs up emoji. That was completely new. You went to bed and hoped this might be a turning point. Things were coming together. The next day, you had the morning, afternoon, and evening to yourself. Jude and Scott were gone until late. However, they managed to keep everyone in the loop while they were gone. The group chat buzzed with various updates throughout their adventures. There were glimpses of the suit stores they were checking out, the event room they used for dance practice in, and pictures of the three of them presumably taking a break. Jude and Scott were thrilled in the photos. Even the occasional Baxter in the background seemed pleased. And based on the updates, that wasn't for show. The wedding plans were genuinely going well. Meanwhile, you had your feet up, resting and recharging for the big event. You imagined Terry and Miranda spent their day off similarly. After all the hard work, the grand payoff was almost there. There was only one meeting left with the planner ahead of tomorrow. Miranda and Terry arrived at the house not long after you finished dinner. Just as things were talked about before, everybody was invited to Jude and Scott's place rather than the office. It wasn't long before the fiancés and their wedding planner strolled in with their spirits high. Almost everyone got settled comfortably in the living room. Jude and Scott tiredly sank into one end of the couch, while Terry sat on the other. Miranda folded her leg and sat on the arm of the couch, leaning into Terry. He plopped down on the room's other plush chair. Baxter, though, didn't pull a chair aside or sit down anywhere. Instead, he remained standing, holding his notebook and waiting for his moment to begin the meeting. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to everyone here. You've handled the stressful schedule commendably. It's been excellent working with a party planning committee such as yourselves. Baxter bowed his head politely. It was clear that he was trying to maintain the wall of formality with his role as a wedding planner, but his earnest tone gave him away. Baxter meant what he said from the heart. Before comments could be made, he changed gears and tapped the pad of his finger to his chin. The main concern at this point is simply the partygoers enjoying themselves on the day of. Though there are a few remaining details we needed to get out of the way before I leave. It's minor. The room buzzed with excitement. The fruits of your hard labor were almost ready to feast on. Miranda reached across Terry on the couch and gave her brother a big high five.
I can't believe you made it in one piece.
You and me both. They both laughed heartily, and she offered Scott a high five next. Terry, meanwhile, dropped his chin on Miranda's spine with a quiet hum. She squealed with sudden contact and missed Scott's hand. Scott immediately shifted from the high five to making sure Miranda wouldn't lose her balance. Baxter cleared his throat to regain the room's attention. His soft expression grew more focused. As I said before, we have a few remaining details to sort out. May I? Knock yourself out, but hurry before Randy knocks somebody upside the head.
I'm fine, Jude. Thank you for being concerned.
Yep. Miranda resumed her seat perched on the arm of the couch, and Terry signaled Baxter to start with the thumbs up. So we had quite a productive day, as you might have seen. Scott sat up straighter in his seat and nodded confidently. He couldn't hold his thought a second longer. We got the suits. They're super. Thol. He was the Why is his name Thol? Thol. He was the man who assisted us at the store. Was a massive help, finding us options that worked splendidly off the rack. Baxter showed us some steps. He sheepishly rubbed the side of his neck and glanced at his husband-to-be. Jude playfully bumped his shoulder into Scott's side. Guess we're gonna have a slow dance. It'll be delightful. Oh, you know it. From there, the conversation kept rolling. You, Terry, and Miranda listened while the couple confirmed the final touches of their wedding ceremony. And I have some additional good news to share. It's an update new to the whole room. Xavier sent me the progress of their cake. It's finished and will be delivered tomorrow as requested. Would any of you like to see the photos? Yes, please. Sure. In a flash, Baxter had his phone out and tapped the screen. He flipped it and walked the picture around the room for his audience. The cake on display was three tiers. The white frosting had rows of lines textured all the way down. Piped leaves and flowers were dotted about as accents. It was understated and stylish. It's so pretty. We actually have a cake this well made for the reception. I seriously appreciate what they did for us. The baker did good. While the couple's words were complimentary, honest praise for an objectively nice piece, there was a problem. It was obvious the cake was the result of their former lack of synergy. And the final result was as finished and not ugly generic as Jude had insisted upon. It couldn't have been a random stock photo Baxter found online. Scott was amazed by the craftsmanship regardless, but seeing it for himself, Jude slouched lower into the couch. It will taste as nice as it looks. Xavier's gifted in the kitchen. Great. Some noticeable creases remained in Jude's brows, but he still managed to smile. Baxter nodded, and no one had anything else to say about the cake. The conversation pivoted away. Baxter ran through the ceremony procedures, piece by piece, and the intended items for every moment. Much of it was familiar information at this point, however, it was crucial to have it all straight. Now, I have one last question for the couple. There's a tradition where the two being married choose not to see each other, or not to have any communication whatsoever before the ceremony. Would that be something you'd want to consider? I can arrange separate areas for each of you to get ready. The men frowned nearly simultaneously. They gave each other a long, silent stare. It would be hard not seeing or talking to each other at all. Yeah. And what if there's a problem? Scott's frown deepened. He lifted his glasses and rubbed the bridge of his nose. We've got to see the thing through together. Beaming, Scott hooked an arm around Jude's shoulders and pulled him close. He whispered in his fiancé's ear, "We're gonna throw a great wedding. I know that. Are you both feeling prepared to get married then?" Yes, and we're raring to go. Jude rested his cheek on Scott's shoulder and let out a gentle sigh. The peaceful look on his face splintered. Yeah, very good. There was something in Baxter's tone that caught your attention. His gaze lingered on Jude. Whatever he was thinking, he kept it to himself. It's settled. No, it wasn't. You could read it on him like a billboard. I believe this means we can call an end to our final meeting. Wow. Woo! Sorry, that was a weak woo. The couple got to their feet and gave their heartfelt thanks and goodbyes. Miranda hopped off the armrest and pulled Terry along too. Raising a brow, you watched as Baxter actually left. Jude and Scott walked him to the door. You followed them. Baxter left with one last farewell, and the door was shut. The day had wrapped up nicely. Everyone had done as best as they could. Yet, regardless of any of the signs, you remained convinced that Baxter had finished his planning. Did I say convinced or unconvinced? I was supposed to be unconvinced. From there, Jude and Scott rallied themselves into one last cleaning session before bed. They began putting their house into some semblance of order. They were unstoppable. Scott pivoted and you sidestepped out of his way. In the living room, Terry and Miranda were settled on the cushions of the couch together, watching something quietly on one of their phones. They would be going home soon, and the last thing you wanted was to get in the way of either power couple. But a guiding light came in the form of your phone jingling to life. Lo and behold, it was Baxter Ward, and his text wasn't for the group chat. He sent it directly to you. I'm sorry for messaging you out of the blue, but could you do me a favor? I need you to meet me outside. I'm still here. I want to speak with him. Can you convince him to do that? I'm worried he might not listen, or he'd tell Scott if I text him directly. You left it unanswered, but you did what he would ask since it was important. You tapped out and answered, "Yes, boo." Oh, I can pick? Alright, huh. So you are able to use my number for private messages. No, I'm not gonna pick that one. I guess I can be your partner in crime. You owe me one. Pepe Le Pew is up to no good again. What the fuck? Why would you text him that? What are you planning? You owe me one. Noted. Thank you, Princeton. You were forming an idea on where this was going to go as you slipped your phone into your pocket and got to work. Scott had moved into the living room, so that meant Jude was alone in the kitchen. Perfect timing. Fortunately, he was too absorbed in his task to notice you sneaking past. Jude stood at the sink, humming a quiet tune. He was already making a dent in washing the dishes that had piled up from earlier in the day. Hey, Jude. Sup? He didn't take his eyes off the suds. You hung back on the doorway and made sure that you were alone before inching closer. Before anything else, could we move this conversation outside of the house? He looked at you then. But you put the bowl he finished scrubbing on the drying rack and then dried his hands. Lead the way. Thanks. The two of you were halfway through the house. Almost. My glasses are so dirty. It's distracting me. Anyway, the two of you were halfway through the house, almost home free, when Jude startled you by speaking. You stopped dead in your tracks. This is about Baxter, right? That How did he blow it that bad? How did you blow it that bad? You were about to blurt it out, but then Jude crossed his arms, an expression morphed into something you'd expect more from Liz. Oh. Jude wasn't onto what was really happening. He thought you wanted to talk about Baxter from your personal angle. Your conflicting emotions must have been dancing across your face because Jude dropped a protective expression for a sympathetic one. You can tell me about it outside. Bullet dodged. Without exchanging another word, you led him out the front door. Jude froze only a couple feet outside his doorstep. Words. His head snapped to the side, catching where Baxter was leaning against the side of the house. Why is this man leaning against the side of the house? Who the fuck do you think you are? Hello, Jude. Thank you so much for your help, Princeton. Baxter moved off the wall and readjusted his jacket. He grinned widely, and it sent a shiver down your spine. Don't do that. There was something about arranging a confrontation at night with an unsuspecting Mark and a man in a well-tailored suit that made you feel you were now an accomplice to a crime. Local hero falls into a trap set by devious monochromatic supervillain and all that. He's not even monochromatic anymore. Is he? Well, like, is he wearing one color? Is he just straight wearing purple? I guess he is monochromatic then. You coughed and turned away to regain your composure. Baxter's master plan was going to be in Jude's favor, obviously. Not that he knew that. Jade's gaze flickered between his two captors. What's going on? That's exactly what I wanted to ask. You didn't appear particularly thrilled at the end of our meeting. Jude's uneasiness vanished and was replaced by a clenched jaw. It's all good, Baxter. You'll have to do better than that. I don't believe either of us are convinced. Things are as good as they're gonna be. Baxter sighed at the note of hurt in Jude's tone. He let his hands sink into his pockets. We can't even begin to find a solution or a compromise if you're not willing to discuss the issue. Jude tapped his foot anxiously. He hoped someone else would speak, but the two of you were waiting for him. It's way too late. I believe I have an idea of what this is about, but could it be wrong? Please try me. Jude opened his mouth, hesitated, and closed it. He glanced away and scrubbed his fingers roughly through his hair. Why not? You're the wedding planner. He let out a defeated sigh and guiltily lifted his gaze. The problem is that cake. I screwed it up. It's our wedding. Our chance to do whatever we want. I didn't let him or me do that. We only needed to talk for 15 minutes about a design and flavors and shit. It would have been good. But me thinking that now doesn't matter. It's not, there's nothing we can do. The triad was the longest you'd ever heard Jude speak all in a row, and the angriest. Baxter listened sympathetically. When he was certain Jude had said his piece, Baxter took a turn. Unfortunately, yes. The cake is finished. Xavier wouldn't be capable of overhauling the design of an entire wedding cake at the last hour. Even adding new decorations isn't particularly feasible. I can't recommend you doing anything to the cake without discussing it with Scott first, regardless. That's why I kept my mouth shut. The baker did what I wanted. Sorry, wrong person. That's why I kept my mouth shut. The baker did what I wanted, but that cake is always going to be something I regret. Jude squeezed his eyes shut as he admitted that out loud. Baxter's expression tightened and he exhaled through his nose. Jude, have you perhaps heard of the concept of a groom's cake? Jude cracked an intrigued eye open. He studied Baxter cautiously. No? What's that? Well, wedding cakes are often tailored to only one half of the couple's tastes. There is the cliche of a bride picking out her dream wedding and a groom being left out of the process entirely for a reason. The situation can certainly apply to any gender couple. Sometimes it isn't a problem for a pair. In this case, you could say the wedding cake was more of your choice than Scott's. No, the basic concept is that you have the beautiful classic wedding cake of multiple tiers and understated color scheme as the main piece. Then there's a second cake that is smaller and often far more themed in design. Something potentially showcasing a hobby, a sports themed cake, or, for example, a video game themed cake. It's meant to be to the preference of the person who didn't get their say before. That way, both people in the relationship get what they like. And sorry, I smelled a smell, and it was not pleasant. And adding a groom's cake makes for a much better surprise than redoing a piece that's already agreed on. I didn't know if it was Jack's or not. Are you for real? That's a thing? It is. Scott and I met playing games online. Can we get something to celebrate that? A video game themed cake? At the last minute? No. You lost the chance, buddy. Her eyes flickered back and forth between them. Jude's hopeful excitement contrasted with Baxter's strained smile in a painfully humorous way. Baxter pinched the bridge of his nose. We can't ask Xavier to create an entirely new cake on short notice. Well, we might be able to find a pre-made one with video game accents. It could be more young child's birthday cake than an important event of your life groom's cake. Jude began to visibly deflate. That was the apex of his final meeting. Baxter had drawn him outside, gotten him to open up on his feelings. Everything had proceeded as he requested, and as expected, Baxter knew this was about the cake, so you waited to hear why. The hand still in Baxter's pocket had morphed into fists, and his arms were pulling down so tensely his sleeves might have ripped off the shoulders if he was in something of lesser quality. By the looks of it, Jude wasn't the only one questioning his various choices, but, of course, Baxter Ward was good friends with bad ideas. If you're truly desperate, I could do it. I could make a groom's cake. We're gonna make a cake with Baxter? Jude's jaw went from a slight dip to a drop. Baxter had done a lot in the past few days, but he always remained within the bounds of his job. Even going to pick up and drop off the centerpiece supplies could be considered a part of the process if you had a specially involved planner. However, making a groom's cake the night before the wedding was definitely not how any of this worked. Baxter Ward was taking a flying leap past the line of professional courtesy. You make cakes? Jude slowly articulated through his shock. Baxter nervously blew at the edge of his hoop bangs. It won't taste as good as a wedding cake. I can curb the expectation right now. I'll have to use box mix and it won't be a true 3D carved shape. It's something better left to the pros. However, I can manage to create a cake that fits the bill better than a sheet cake with some plastic decoration stuck in it. We could use a stencil to make it look like a controller and frost it, so. And I can make some I do have some experience baking for events. I did help make the cupcakes for Miranda's 19th birthday. Not just the chocolate fountain? Baxter blinked and then scratched at the side of his neck. He let out an awkward chuckle at that bit of infamy preceding him. Yes, I did do a touch more than provide the chocolate fountain. Well, hell, if you can do it, do it. That would be, I don't know how I could make it up to you. Don't allow the stress of having the perfect wedding ruin the experience. That's all I'll ask for. Oh, and don't smash any of the first or second cake into Scott's face as a surprise. Despite Baxter's lighthearted teasing, Jude continued to stare at him, astonished. Dude, Thanks. You're quite welcome. And now I can comfortably say that we're all set for tomorrow. You need all the rest you can get before morning, so take it easy tonight. I'll be going now. They were serious. Baxter was about to make a themed groom's cake the night before the wedding was planned. He was planning. He shouldn't have to handle that alone. Baxter was biting off more than he could chew. He had to make sure this didn't go awry. He was so ridiculous and absolutely needed someone to watch out for him. What a champ. You wanted to do everything with your power for the wedding, too. It sounded like fun. You wanted in. Yes, it sounds like fun. I want in. You were already imagining all the ways video game cake could come together. Each new possibility made you more excited than the last. I'll help. Amazing. Baxter shot an unimpressed glance at Jude. His little cat face is back. And then he tried to rein his emotions in. Princeton, I promise I can do this on my own. This was my choice. Don't try to talk me out of it. I'm not forcing myself. I want to. Baxter's hesitancy and discomfort was evident. He gave the collar of his shirt a light tug. Are we going back to your house? I'll be picking in my apartment. Is that fine with you? Uh-huh. I'll go with you. Time to snoop! You got a girlfriend now or what? I know he said he was single last time, but still. He still didn't quite believe his ears, but he also didn't question your actions any further. Fine, I'm grateful for your assistance. Thanks again. Oh. I'll text you a picture of Scott's favorite controller. And for Princeton? I'll bullshit some reason you're gone. Ah, yes, that'll be excellent. Jude's forethought got Baxter to refocus on the situation. He scratched the side of his cheek. But before we go, I have one more question for you, Jude. Shoot. Do you have cake mix? Or either pre-made frosting or powdered sugar? Or perhaps food coloring? And a sheet pan, too. If you have that. What do you need a sheet pan for? He far exceeded the limits of one more question and managed to tell you, both indirectly, that he needed literally everything other than the eggs and oil. Baxter was shameless about his request and simply shrugged instead. I don't have any baking supplies. I figured I'd save a trip to the store and fret over brands if we could use ingredients from your own kitchen. Of course you don't have baking supplies. Jude tipped his head back and let out a deep laugh. He rocked back and forth and wiped a tear from his eyes. We probably have stuff you can use. Wait here. Jude jogged to the house, leaving you and Baxter there in the driveway. He didn't even bother closing the door, so the light from inside fell between you. Neither of you uttered a single word. Jude would return any minute, and you'd have the whole night to say anything either of you wanted. A couple minutes later, Jude rushed out with his arms full. He passed Baxter a sheet cake pan, stacked with supplies, carrot cake mix. Ew. Let me not judge, it's their cake. 2 containers of cheesecake frosting. Ew. And a box with red, green, blue, and yellow food coloring. Scott prefers his way more than chocolate and vanilla. We can do a lot with this. Oh, sorry, that's me. We can do a lot with this. Yes, it is going to work. Good night, Jude. I'll take care of this in Princeton. You have nothing to worry about. And I'll take care of him. Baxter's mouth crooked into a familiar smile. Jude shook his head and waved you both off. Alright, we're on the clock. Drive safe. And with that, you and Baxter split from the group for one final pre-wedding mission. You hurried across the street and climbed into his car. And this is where I'm going to end today's stream. We've made it. We're about to be Baxter's bedbug. No, we're not. What if, though? Thank you guys so much for joining me on this stream. I appreciate it. Next stream, I don't know. But I'm going to stream. Don't worry. We're going to stream. We're going to finish this game, too. We haven't done a couple upstream in a bit, so I don't know. We might do a couple upstream. Don't hold me to it, though. Don't hold me to it. Other than that, thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you have a nice rest of your day, week, month, year, and life. And I hope to see you in the next stream. Bye!